Alrighty, so I'm going to remove the thermostat housing and replace the thermostat and gasket, both 13mm bolts. They're as tight as buggery, these two bolts. And there you go, that gasket's just about gone to nothing. No idea if that thermostat still works or not. I'd say it obviously would, but good opportunity to put a new one on anyway. I'll get them surfaces all cleaned up, fit a new gasket and thermostat. Alrighty, so I've got the thermostat housing. I've just cleaned up that surface with the blade and a bit of Scotch-Brite. It's the best I can get it. And same on the intake manifold side as well. Just give that a good clean up, Scotch-Brite as well. So first up, new thermostat. Pop that in first. That sits in there, like in that little collar there, sits in. Gasket. One side's got a sticky side to it, so peel off that backing. And stick that onto the thermostat housing. Like so. Beauty. A bit of a wipe. Fit that back onto the manifold side. And put the bolts in and nip them up. As I said before, they're 13mm. Rightio, manifold is ready to be refitted. So I've just gurneyed where I could, just up in here. You can see it's still a little bit dirty here and there. Ideally, you would like to get it vapor blasted, or that the dry ice method as well. New thermostat and gasket fitted. Engine bay. So just the faces of those heads, as you can see, I've just cleaned them up the best I could. So what you want to do is, obviously, if you can, just put a rag in here or a bit of cardboard, whatever works for you. Just to catch a bit of debris that comes off of here. Like, it is quite hard not to make a mess. So I just use a blade, a rag with a little bit of degreaser on it, and a little bit of Scotch-Brite as well, just to clean up them faces. So, and same just down here as well, just on where the valley gaskets go. Just a blade, a little bit of cleaner, bit of Scotch-Brite, clean it up the best you can. Yeah, so we'll have an attempt of refitting this manifold. See how we go. Alrighty, time to fit up these new gaskets. So I'll do this left-hand side first as an example. You can see got the dimple there that I got me tapping my finger on. That just sits in there, just to locate the gasket. And there's one up the other end of the gasket as well. Alright. I just pop in like so, just checking, make sure everything lines up. Looking pretty good. And we'll do the same on the other side as well. Same deal, a dimple there, and one there as well, or a nipple, whatever you want to call it. And the two holes on the head there where they locate. Alright, looks good. Looks like it's all lining up quite well. And now we'll do those valley gaskets there as well now. Alright, so I'm going to fit up the valley gaskets now, but before I do, just a little bit of RTV, bit of high temperature gasket maker, or you can use 3-bond. So before you put the gasket on, just a toothpaste dollop underneath. Just where your valley gasket meets your manifold gasket. Just a dollop there as well. Alright, you can see those holes there. The gasket's just got those little nipples on it. Black part facing to the front of the car. And we'll also put a bit of RTV on top as well where the joint is. So just in the corners there, just make sure you're pushing that down so it's flat. So it just tucks underneath that gasket. And a little bit of RTV on top of that. Just like a toothpaste dollop. Old tube stuffing me around a little bit. I'll try again with the other side. My bloody tube was just stuffing me around there a little bit. Like I said, about a toothpaste dollop, thereabouts. Oh, fuck, here it goes again. Anyway, spread that out on top, just right where that joint is. Like I said, where the manifold gasket just meets that valley gasket. All right, then we'll do the same up the back as well. So we'll do the same up the back as well. My little bloody tube's just stuffing me around a little bit. So a little bit in the corner there before we put the valley gasket on. A little bit there. Just on that surface there where she bonds to that valley gasket. Alright, we'll get that gasket on. Bear with me. So, black part of that gasket facing towards the back of the car. And you've got the little locating holes and the nipple, exactly the same as the front. Just make sure she sits down flat. And sort of feel it pop its way in. That's pretty right. And a little bit of RTV on top, exactly the same as the front. See how my little bottle's going? Little tube rather. A bit more awkward down the back here. Probably a little bit too much there. Just like the front, just over the top where that little joint is from valley to manifold. A little bit too much on that side. That one's perfect, that's good. Alright, it's nearly that time to fit up this manifold. Righto. Rightio, so I'm just going to attempt to put this manifold in. Hopefully don't go pinching those valley gaskets. So I'll do my best with my assistant. Alright. I think that's alright. Okay. Righto, so I've just pinched up these manifold bolts hand tight. So there is a sequence on how to put these back together. So number one, we'll start with that very lower one up the back. Then we'll come across to the opposite side and we'll do that lower one there. Then we'll go down to the back towards the firewall, do the lower one down there. That'll be number 3. And then number 4. And then number 5 will be over this side here. Number 5. And then we go from number 5 and we just go opposite across to the one near the oil cap. Which will be number 6, number 7, and then number 8. And so on. So I'll put up a photo if I can find it, just to show you that exact sequence. But basically you're just going opposite, one bolt after the other. And they need to be done up to spec as well, which is about 15 to 20 Newton meters, which is not much at all. Okay, manifold bolts are all done up both sides, so now it's just time to go along and plumb everything back up. So obviously throttle body, this one here, back into the back of the plenum here, all the vacuum lines at the back, throttle cable, we'll plug in all this loom and all that from the injectors. Still waiting on a couple of parts, so I'm waiting for the O-rings to go in here for the heater inlet and outlet, so just waiting for them to turn up. So I'm going to do everything possible up until that point. Same thing on this side, plug all the loom and all that back in. Bolt that coil pack back on, plug the leads and all that in, and that's probably just about as much as I can do. Also just going to change that bottom radiator hose while there's a bit of clearance here as well. Alright, I'm just going to bolt up the coil pack. Just those 2 bolts underneath. Beautiful. While I'm here, I'm just going to feed these leads back across. So they just went under that wiring loom. Awkward and fiddly. Beauty. Alright, I'll just go ahead and bolt these up as well. Get them finger tight. Nip them up with a socket. Alright, so I've done up both them bolts that mount the coil pack, both 13mm bolts. So you just got this part here of the wiring loom. So you've got this plastic surround there. That loom just tucks into that. And these little clips here, simply pop her in like that, and that hides that loom out the way. Now I need a new coolant temp sensor while we're here. Got one on the way, so broke that, taking it off. That goes in there. Next up, we'll move on to the throttle body. All right, before I put that throttle body on, I'm just going to plug in all this part of the loom here with the fuel injection. Just better clearance before that throttle body goes back on. So I'll just start at the front, just simply clip them on. That little arched part goes towards the manifold. You can hear that little clip, that's on. Do that middle one, number 2. It's on, just give it a bit of a pull. And the rear one, that's on as well. These 2 sensors here, they go on the throttle body. This one here into this little canister. That's that one on. We might actually plumb this one up first while we've got clearance. Let's take that off. Right, so I've just put them vacuum lines back on. So that big one up the back, I don't know if you can really see in that light. Big one up the back and that small one just there. Pop them back on. That one's obviously on. All the fuel injection on this side's right, all the plugs. So now I'm going to put the throttle body back on. So all this is just a reverse procedure of how we took things off. So I'll just bang him on. Let's tuck that loom out the way. They just slide on like so. Two 10mm nuts opposite each other. A little bit awkward spots. One down the very bottom. Yeah, what did I say? Yeah, 13mm they are, pretty short. Let's pinch them up. Nothing too tight. Okay, backing plate is all reattached. 3 bolts at the back, or 3 nuts rather, 10mm nuts. Throttle cable and cruise control are reattached. Everything on the throttle body is redone. It's just these 2 plugs here off the wiring loom. You can't really stuff them up. Small plug into the small hole. Clip that one in, and then the bigger one across the front, over the top. Pop him in, that's that done. Now we're going to go to the driver's side, plug in the loom on the injectors, spark plug leads, and the fuel lines. Same deal as the passenger side. Plug all these injectors back in via the wiring harness. And those little cable tie sort of screw-ins, pop them back into the manifold block. Beauty. Spark plug leads. So we want cylinder number 2, which is the front. Cylinder 4, the middle, which is that one. Is it? Yep, that one. And cylinder 6, the rear. Alright, next up we'll attack those fuel lines. So if you recall, that bottom one, the black, is the bottom. Middle one's the blue tape on that line. Right, that middle fuel line. Click, you can hear that little click, that's on. And the yellow or green tape, whatever colour you want to call it, was the top. There you go, hear that click as well. So they are all on. That's probably just about as much as I can do today until I get those parts for that heater pipe, the inlet and outlet. Once I fit all that, then I can bolt up alternator, put the belt on, run some water and some coolant flush through the system, check for any leaks, things like that, reattach radiator hoses. So that might do for today. See you tomorrow. All right, we're nearly there for day 1. So just the 2 plugs on the airbox. So that one there and the smaller one on the back. Can't stuff them up, 2 different size plugs. That one there. And we'll just join the hose to the throttle body. and then we'll just go around and lock in all those clips. Righto, as I said, that'll probably do us for day one. I am waiting just for O-rings, just on those heater pipes. So they're pretty flat there, and same there with that smaller one. I'm just waiting for them to turn up, and then we can bolt those pipes back on the alternator, get some water and some coolant flush into this radiator, make sure we haven't got any leaks, and we'll be good to go. So that will do us for day one. Righto guys, we are back for part 2 of the VT Commodore manifold gasket job. So I got held up a little bit. I just was waiting on these little O-rings here. They're for the heater pipes. So the bigger one on this pipe here, and the orange one on the smaller one here. So took nearly a week just to get them. Not even friggin' 80 k's away. So good old Australia Post. But anyway, they're here. So first job to kick it off, I'm just gonna get a little pick, try and pick that old one off. They're really perished and just about knackered, so I couldn't go putting them back on. Have a look at that. I don't know if the camera really does it justice, but it's pretty flat, perished, hanging on for dear life. So we'll throw a new one on. Just make sure that's nice and clean. Bring that new one on nice and carefully. You can put a little bit of like rubber grease on them as well, rather than having dry O-rings. Not a real big fan of fitting up dry O-rings. As you can see, that one, I don't know if you can see again, but that one there's quite flat. It's almost unrecognisable sitting in there. Just get a pick, try and get it out. If it breaks. There she goes. Yeah, they're just real dry and brittle, flat, perished. They're all just there. They're just flat, really. Just get a rag and give that a bit of a clean up. So yeah, we'll get these heater taps fitted up. The heater pipes fitted up. That pulley that sits over the top of that heater pipe, alternator, and then we'll top her up just with water. I'm just going to put some coolant flush into it. So yeah, I'm just going to run some coolant flush through it. Obviously that water, the coolant, whatever the hell was in it, was just putrid stuff. It was browny, sort of orange sort of a colour, yellow. So we'll run a coolant flush through the whole system, flush the system out again just with water, get that heater running. So we get the flush circulating through the system. And then once I'm happy with how clean the cooling system is, I'll obviously top it up with some coolant, bleed the system out, get rid of any air bubbles, and we should be good to go. And fingers crossed, no leaks. All right, that one's cleaned up. Pop him on. Pretty simple sort of job. Nothing too hard about it. Boom. But yeah, like I said, you can put a bit of rubber grease on there. I'm not a big fan of fitting up dry O-rings. So yeah, anyway. All right, time to reassemble it. Rightio, it's time to fit up the first heater pipe. So that small one there, and with the pulley. So that just simply slides through like so, and goes into the side of that sort of manifold there. I'll get that pipe pushed in first. Seems pretty good. Alrighty, that first heater pipe's in with that bracket with the pulley on it. Those threaded nuts there, those bits of thread with the nuts on them, they're done up hand tight. So just those two here. 1, 2, might be a little bit hard to see there. So they're 15 mil. So we'll just nip them up. Alright, next up we've got that second heater pipe. Goes on the front. So new O-ring fitted. I'll just put a little bit of grease on it. Like I said, I don't like fit them up dry. Just gently sort of pop him on. Hopefully no O-rings pop off. Bang, nice. Couple of 15 mil nuts. Get them on and we'll pinch them up. There's 15 mil as I said. We are getting there nice and slowly. Just pinch that up. And remember our little earth wire with the tape on it. He just goes on there. And another 17 mil nut in front of that. Just lightly pinch him up. Bang, more than enough. Alright, next up is the alternator. So I've just fitted up the heater hoses back onto those heater pipes. So alternator next up. So before I go bolting it up, I will plug that plug in first. On the bottom. Plug him on. And that little earth strap as well. Get him on. Pinch up that nut. That little nut in the back's all nipped up, 13 mil, just put your little cover on, and we'll slide him onto that mounting bracket. Beautiful. There's 2 bolts holding the alternator on, that top one I'm doing now. Pinch another hand tight, and then the one down the bottom. Like a glove. I've also fitted up top and bottom radiator hoses as well, guys. Obviously them old ones are pretty perished. Alright, I'll nip them up. Put that rear bracket on, that mounting bracket on the back. Plumb up the radiator hoses, put on the drive belt, and it's time to get some water and some coolant flush into that system. Alright, that bracket at the back's all done up, alternator's all sorted, I've put the belt back on, so nothing to really show there, obviously just the reverse procedure. Just pull down on that tensioner there, 15 mil, push down on that, that'll loosen it off, refit the belt, hook the battery back up. Now we'll put the fuel pump relay back in, which was 3rd from the left, according to our diagram there, 3rd from the left at the top. Bang him in, cover back on, All right, now I'm just gonna get the hose and just flush out that radiator first. Just get all the crap out of there with some fresh water, and then I'll plumb up the top and bottom radiator hoses, fill the tank up, radiator, and we'll get some of that radiator flush in there and check for leaks at the same time. All right, so I've just shoved the hose down the radiator, had the bottom radiator hose off, and just flushed out a heap of brown gunk and crap. Same with the heater hoses as well, just tried to flush them as much as I could. I've topped the radiator up with water and also just that Penrite radiator flush. Everything's all plumbed back up. So let's kick her in the guts and fingers crossed she fires. All right, here we go. The moment of truth. Oh, beautiful. No engine lights, nothing. Good start. So that's one tick, step one. She runs at least. So I'll let that run for probably a good 15 minutes. I don't know, we've got a little water leak here. What's going on there? So everything went well, except we have a little leak. It is that smaller heater pipe where it goes into the manifold below the thermostat housing there. I reckon that O-ring's either squashed or pinched itself. So we have a slight leak coming out of there, which is a pain in the ass, but it could be worse. Everything else I think's pretty right, so I'm just going to have to whip the alternator off, pull that pipe out again and see what's going on. I'm tipping that O-ring's probably pinched itself or squashed in there, so a little bit frustrating, but that's all right. We'll get it off and we'll see what's going on. All right, so I found where that little water leak was coming from. So that's the small heater pipe there, going through the pulley system. That's a brand new O-ring. So that's why we had a water leak. So that little pipe just goes in through there, just below the thermostat housing. So there was just water dripping out of there. Just as I suspected, that O-ring. So it's frustrating, it's a brand new O-ring. Yeah, anyway, that's cars. I'll just have to try and order one in or see if Repco's got them back in stock again on the way home and try and get it fitted early next week. So yes, frustrating, but anyway, on the flip side, I did have the car running for a good 5-10 minutes and no other issues whatsoever. So touch wood, everything else is fine. We'll just get that get a new O-ring for that heater pipe and fingers crossed we are all good. So anywho, well, there you go guys, that is part 2 done. Well, I'd like to say done. I've obviously got to replace that O-ring on that smaller heater pipe. Bloody frustrating, like you just put it all back together and that happens. But look, it could be worse. It was easy enough to take the alternator back off, pull that pipe out and the pulley and all that. So look, thinking about it, it's obviously my own fault. That O-ring was quite dry and hard. So I should have just soaked it in oil or something like that for a little bit just to soften it up. I'd say that's what's happened. As I've pushed that pipe into the housing, it's just peeled back and split, I would say, obviously. So yeah, anyway, it's a little $5 O-ring. So yeah, I'll get on the phone to Repco, hopefully get one. At the time of filming this, it is Friday afternoon, so hopefully I can get one on the way home over the weekend or something like that, and get back out here next week sometime and fit it up. So, but anyway, all in all, everything else is really good. So, like I said, I had the car running for about probably 5-10 minutes. You know, had got up to a decent sort of a temperature and everything seemed to be fine. So all in all, a good result apart from the O-ring leak. So yeah, anyway, I'll get that rectified, get a new O-ring. That'll be sweet. Easy little fix. It's better than having to pull the manifold off or something like that, isn't it? So yeah, anywho. And then next week, I'll get stuck into all the fluids. So like engine oil, obviously I'll do the coolant. Once I do that flush, I'll do all that again, put a flush through, put the water in with that flush. Yeah, engine oil, filter, fuel filter, transmission, diff. And then we'll start moving on to spark plug leads. I've obviously got that new fuel pump there as well, the in-tank pump. And then we'll get stuck into things like brakes. She needs a new exhaust. So no, it's good. We're making headway. It's good. Now we've got the momentum going. It feels like I'm getting somewhere. So yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that part 2 series of the manifold gaskets. Until next time, guys. We'll see you later.